The E-2 visa is not a plan. Rather, it's a door. Let me say something very important. Most people don't realize until it's too late or almost too late. Getting an E-2 visa feels like arrival, relief, momentum, safety, security. But for many people, for most, it's actually the most dangerous place to be and the most dangerous moment in the process because entry is mistaken for permanence and certainty. And the truth is this, the E-2 is not a plan. It's not a long-term plan. It's a door. What matters is where that door leads and your strategy to take you to the next step. Why this keeps happening. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most lawyers stop at approval. They get you the visa, they get paid, they move on, they get the next number in line. Very few stop and ask, so what happens next? What does this turn into? What does life look like 5, 10, or even longer from now? Not because they don't care, but because that's not their job. Because they're trained to win. They're trained to just get you a visa and not to worry about next steps. They're trained to do applications, not to architect futures. And that gap is where people get stuck and where I come in. The E-2 done right. Let me pause here because this matters. I actually like, or I really love the E-2. I've worked with hundreds of successful E-2 clients over the years. Founders, investors, families, entrepreneurs who've built real strategies and real businesses and real lives in the US. I love the E-2 visa enough that in my book called Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process, I called it the coveted visa because it is coveted, and I meant it. When it's used properly, the E-2 can be super powerful, elegant even, but that's exactly why I'm so direct about its limitations. And there are limitations because stripped of emotion and relief, here's how the E-2 stacks up. It's temporary, although admittedly indefinitely renewable. It's discretionary. It's dependent on your business's success and continuing to qualify as a visa applicant business. It's dependent on treaty politics, which in this environment are challenging. It's dependent on consular discretion. Every few years, things change. It doesn't mature, at least not yet. It doesn't stabilize, and it doesn't reward loyalty or longevity. It's not a long-term plan for your kids, for your family. It's simply not. This is one of the most challenging aspects of the visa, because at 21 years old, your kids no longer have status. The danger isn't the E-2. The danger is falling in love with the door and forgetting to ask where it leads. There's a big missing conversation. What is in the national interest? This is where most people never are properly guided. There are ways to move from temporary to permanent, at least for most people, but they do require intentional planning and strategy. One of the most powerful is the EB-2 National Interest Waiver. The National Interest Waiver isn't about sponsorship. It's about impact. It asks, does your business and work matter beyond just your own family and business? Does it have a national impact? Does it serve the U.S. in a meaningful and significant way? Do you have the educational credentials to make your presence important? Does your presence advance something of national importance? And here's the key point that most people miss. The E-2, when designed correctly, can become the vehicle or platform for that national interest waiver or for another path to a green card. But you have to plan ahead. Your business, your expertise, your visibility, your contribution. None of that happens by accident or in a vacuum. Bringing it to life. I have a client. Her name is Enid. Let me ground this in a real example. She came to the U.S. with a temporary visa. She has 3 young children, and we are figuring out how to plan for her next steps. She has a master's degree, as does her husband. So we wanted to not overlook the narrative designed for long-term planning. We didn't just ask, how do we keep her here? We asked, what is the national interest in what she is doing? How can we make sure that she serves that? How does her work contribute, make a difference, influence, have an impact? What is she doing that advances something bigger than herself and her family? Today, she and her husband have a plan to live and work in the U.S. long term, to get green cards with permanence and clarity, not because of a lucky break, but because her strategy, combined with our strategy for her, aligned immigration with purpose and impact. That didn't start at the green card stage. It started when we planned the E-2. It started early. The emotional trap that no one warned you about. Here is where people get caught. Once your kids are settled, once your business is established, once your life is anchored, temporary status stops feeling flexible and starts feeling fragile. Not because the visa changed, but because your goals and your life changed. And that's why strategy has to come first at the beginning, not later as an afterthought. What does real strategy look like? Strategy isn't just about visas. It's about a trajectory. A properly designed E-2 should be doing one critical thing, buying you leverage for the future, not just for today. That means structuring the business to support a future national interest waiver or other path, aligning your work with national interest, national relevance, national importance, making sure today's decisions strengthen, not sabotage tomorrow's. If the E-2 only gets you in, but doesn't point forward, it's incomplete, and your strategy is incomplete. So we have to change that. I'm not sharing this to scare you. I'm sharing it because too many people assume someone else is thinking about them and has their back. Someone else is thinking long-term for them, but often no one is. If you already have an E-2 or even an E-1, this is your invitation to zoom out and ask what is actually being built, what is actually moving you forward. If you're considering an E-2 or an E-1, make sure that it's part of a larger architecture, not a standalone decision to just get you in the door. And if this way of thinking long-term, strategically, resonates with you, that's intentional. This channel is where we talk about strategy over paperwork, impact over approval, and building a future for your family and yourself that doesn't expire. If you want access to more of these conversations, subscribe to our channel, because the E-2 is not the destination. It's the doorway to your future. And what matters most is what you build on this from the other side. Subscribe now to our channel for strategy, for not shortcuts. Let's build something great together that lasts. And please click on the link to schedule a consultation if it resonates with you. I'm Lauren Cohen, and I look forward to working with you on a strategy designed for yourself and your family that is built for your future. Thank you for joining me.